Wow. Welcome everybody to a very special edition of Worcester Council Theater 3000 Burncoat Dorks edition. We've got these fucking morons in the Greendale section of town trying to shut down a 6-bed shelter for families at Zion Lutheran Church on Whitmarsh, and they are huge, gigantic mad about it, and they fucking suck. So it's we'll see. We have a zoning board of appeals meeting starting in 8 minutes. Agenda item number 2 is the one that we're looking at. Call in if you can, if you have time, if you want to take a step away from this stream to jump on there. We'll try and pull up the number here in a second. If you've called in before, same situation as City Hall, dial the number, there's a code, you hit #9, I believe, to raise your hand to say you want to speak, or run down to City Hall and head to the Levi Hansen room, I believe it's in, and tell Donna Calorio she stinks, because she's helping them a lot with this. So there he is. William.
What's up, everybody?
By Bill Shaner and Brendan Melican and Travis Duda. We're here. Guys, what's your knowledge level of this situation? Thoughts?
Well, I grew up on this sweet flyer.
I grew up on the west side of Worcester, so I've always believed Burncoat residents and Greendale residents to be weird as fuck.
Yep. Yeah, can confirm.
I mean, you're technically the expert, so.
Yeah, I've what's her name, Diane Fawcett. I've gone into the mist with the gorillas that live up here, and I found them to be lacking. It's really weird. It's like I always say that Burncoat is a neighborhood that wishes it was New Holden, and to really a lot of people showing that. I'm heartened by the response, honestly, by a lot of the neighbors around here of like tooling on everybody that's like pissed about this. But there's enough people against it that I'm concerned, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the people against it already forced a delay on the CBA hearing.
Right.
There was one last month, I believe, where enough of these people showed up that they were just like, okay, we'll delay it. But everything I've heard behind the scenes is that, you know, whatever sort of neighborhood opposition to this is not really going to matter. And it seems like a lot of people have been sort of galvanized to come out in support of it just because of the crank reactions of these like weird people flyering the neighborhood, talking about how a 6-family homeless shelter is going to cause traffic problems and hurt real estate values. You know, it's insane and it's stupid. And you know, if no one shows up to counter it, then it just becomes the narrative. It's just like, you know, residents say insane shit. And it's not all residents.
That's what, exactly. And that's what the largely the coverage was. Even like Neil McNamara covered it, and I think he tried to do a good job of like saying like these people are psychos, but they were also the loudest voices in the room and the only people that were mostly allowed to speak, because they're just screaming. Literally, me and Jess went to the first meeting, and people were just yelling. Like there was like 7 people in the room, and 3 of them were just fucking yelling. Like it's, you know. And then Cipro showed up to the last meeting, and you know, it's rolling into a bigger thing. But I do have breaking news for you guys. So one of the organizers of the resistance here, trying to get this thing shut down, has been posting every time that something is coming up, and was the one that made that flyer that says save Greendale, which I think is a plot line from Community. But every time they were posting it, it was just like, this is psychotic. You guys are crazy. And So I did that today. I said, this is psycho behavior when she posted it. And Colleen West just commented 1 minute ago to me, you and Shayna are working overtime on the kiddies today, pitting them against their parents. So sounds like she's catching some shit from her kids, which is good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good
As
for her
the
kids.
symbolic Gen Xer, I'll just sit back and enjoy the infighting at Thanksgiving. Yeah, that's have fun beating up on the parents. Bill, could you run down some of like actual facts on what's going on with this place for those that might not be up to speed, like what the dynamics of the shelter are?
Sure. It's the Zion Lutheran Church. It's on, I can't remember the
Whitmarsh.
Whitmarsh, yeah. And I'm a kitty daddy, and I am pitting the children against their parents. No, but it's a proposal for a sort of a temporary shelter for 6 homeless families at a time. So we're talking about tens of unhoused people in the neighborhood.
Right.
And how many of those families are going to be made up completely of serial killers?
All of them.
Could be. How do you know?
Yeah, all of them, because that's unhoused people are all serial killers that want to destroy you. And also, if you read like Ray Mariano, for instance, they're also zombies, a la The Walking Dead, and they bite. They definitely bite. And if you get bitten, you lose. Your house gets foreclosed on. You lose your mortgage. If you're renting, you get evicted. So you really want to try to make sure that they're not anywhere near a plot of land that you happen to own or reside at, because they'll
they could get it at any time. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they can get you at any time, and you're not going to see it coming. You know.
The only warning will be nip bottles, apparently, because that seems to be a big part of the complaint.
Yeah, and it's only unhoused people in Worcester who are drinking nips.
Right.
Let me say.
Not going to do the naming thing, but like a lot of projection going on at these meetings. From like what FT's done, a lot of projection going on from the folks who are really angry about this. Yeah, maybe some of the names already mentioned.
It's wild. Yeah, so they laid out the meeting that I was at. They laid out like kind of even like the mechanism with which they're gonna do this. It's a nonprofit is buying the church. They're buying the entire complex and then leasing back the church and the church proper to Zion Lutheran, and then using the complex to put in some of their offices, and then to renovate into 6 essentially apartments, 1-room apartments. And it shouldn't, honestly, like, it won't even change really the amount of people that are already like kind of there. Like I was blown away by how little impact this was going to have. I was prepared for it to have impact and be fine with it. And it's like so low impact that it seems like especially bizarre to me to have, like, this is one of those easy ones where people that are crazy can be like, oh, we'll get a free win by seeming normal, like by just not opposing this thing. That's not a big deal.
Not the case.
Yeah.
It really is like just a contingent of people that have really vague atmospheric grievances that are unknown even to them, right? And they just need a place to channel those. And Facebook provides the perfect sort of organizing point for these atmospheric grievances to be channeled into something, anything at all. And it doesn't matter what it is. And they can't be satisfied because they don't even know what's wrong with them. So that's what we're seeing here right now. And with any luck, this meeting that's about to start will just be an exercise in them getting shouted down and outnumbered, because that's all you can do with these people. There is no reasoning with them. It's just making sure they aren't allowed to define the narrative because it's a small amount of people.
And it's one of those things too, like this board typically things don't really rely on. It's not public opinion as much as like, obviously like Donna Calorio can come in and teach these people how to delay this.
Yeah, we're going to start shortly as soon as we get a quorum. The board, we're just waiting for one more member.
As long as everything's on the up and up, as long as they followed procedure, then there shouldn't be a denial at this point.
Yeah.
And through the chair, if folks aren't able to find a seat, there are more chairs in the back left corner. Feel free to.
Okay, so it's
we're packing it out, baby.
Interspersed that haven't been taken, so feel free to slide over and sit next to.
This is gonna
man.
All right, I'll be back in 1 second. Sorry.
Please be sure to stop at the torch and pitchfork check.
So I would hope that this doesn't devolve, and I sent over comments to the board earlier today through the process that Attell described on Instagram and Twitter. We shared it on Instagram. So did Bill's account, Worcester Sucks. The Worcester Sucks account shared it. So, and that's basically what I said. It's like I'm disgusted by people in my neighborhood. I'm heartened by many other people in my neighborhood, and I'm excited that at the prospect of this project going through. But none of that ultimately matters. What matters is this like pass muster?
Yeah.
Like, is this did they screw anything up? Did they propose anything that isn't above board? And it doesn't, as far as I can tell, there isn't that.
Yeah.
So
Brian, I haven't been able to really tease out, just from what I've read, like demographic wise, I've seen multiple mentions of currently the space being used for families that are here under refugee status. Somebody mentioned earlier in the comments that people came up from Katrina. Do you know, is it specifically going to be like a shelter for folks that are coming here under like that sort of need-based program, like refugees?
No, it's there. So the director of the Friendly House described what their, kind of the prospective demographic is, and there isn't a hard and fast anything.
Sure.
But for the most part, they're looking at families that are local.
Yeah.
They might not, if they're like not actually from Worcester proper, but
no, of course, yeah. I just wasn't sure if it was specifically for going to try and tick.
No, in the space that is used now for the family from Afghanistan is actually the old parish residence, the rectory, or whatever it's called. I don't, you go to the Catholic Church your entire life, and then you go to Catholic school, and I just don't retain a single word for anything. Like, I have no idea what anything is called. I don't know what the word catechism means. They did a bad job. They did a bad job with me. But yeah, so they're sister parishes with Bethel Lutheran in Auburn, and I guess everything's just over there now.
Yeah,
all the operations, and the priest lives over there, so they don't need the space. So they have the family living in the former residence, and then this will be what was once the school. I guess there was a school there.
Okay.
The
only reason I was asking is I kept hearing the mentions of the family from Afghanistan. I'm not sure if it's that particular family, but I train over at Worcester MMA with one of those kids. I would take him over 90% of the people that I've met from Worcester any day of the week. Like, this kid is one of the most awesome human beings I've ever met. And it is not his fault that his country was being bombed to shit before he was born, because he's currently 17. But
yeah, I mean, listen, this tale as old as time.
Good evening.
Demonize the victim.
We're going to start the preliminaries. We're waiting for one more member to come online.
You know what they got over there?
Quorum, so we are going to begin. So there's a lot of anxious people here.
We don't want those. We don't want any WMDs.
What's the Monday, June 5th, 2023 meeting of the Worcester?
That's about the level of discourse we should be expecting.
I'll chair tonight's meeting.
Just the dumbest thing you've ever heard.
This is full Pawnee, Indiana tonight. This is like literally the layout.
As a preliminary matter to tonight's meeting, I'd like to confirm the board members and staff were present. So board members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Mr. Berg Powers? Here. Mr. Delaria?
Here.
Ms. Campanello?
Here.
Mr. Delaria? I mean, Mr.
Right.
And Ms. Campanella?
And through the
It's
chair,
interesting that
please
there's no
have
video.
Kindly, folks that are participating online, just
It
stay
was
on
up
mute.
there. It's
Star
just up
6
in the
will keep
corner.
your line muted, and you'll be afforded the opportunity to speak when we get to public comment, but just helps us minimize background noise.
And I am here, obviously.
Obviously.
Okay. So tonight's meeting is being live streamed from the City of Worcester website, and a recording will be available for rebroadcast. The public may participate remotely by calling 415-655-0001, access code 160-884-7670, #, or use the link that is shown on the screen on the website. Please mute yourself unless you are speaking, and be aware that any dialogue or sounds broadcast from your phone will be captured by the meeting broadcast. Once an item is called, there will be a brief presentation of the item, followed by any additional comments and clarifications from members of the city staff. And an opportunity for anyone from the public to speak on that item before we proceed to board discussion and action.
I just want to say, I don't know if she's listening or watching.
Hold on the line until we
Joanna
ask for
Mullane,
public comment on
the woman who's
item.
running my Instagram, has been all over this. She's been doing an awesome job.
Please clearly
tuning up
identify
a lot of,
yourselves and remember to state
the
your
right
name
kind of
each
attention
time
to
you
this
speak,
stuff, so
and
thank
initially
you so
state your
much.
municipality of
Yeah,
residence.
doing a great job. We've been
Please
coordinating
note that
a
the
little bit
board
here and there.
appreciates brevity in your comments. And
Really,
we will be keeping
excellent stuff.
time to watch on comments tonight.
And definitely got this out further.
Applicants should be aware that
it was.
approvals are generally conditional. Decisions are typically signed by the board at the next meeting and filed with the city clerk the following day, which will begin the appeal period. It is the applicant's responsibility, excuse me,
I love when they
to address
have
any conditions of approval,
items in front of them where
and a lack of doing so may result in delays or
the board is
enforcement.
actually kind of shook,
Please
so they're
contact
reading
the
off of
planning
like a
division with
legal
any
script
questions.
for everything.
Yeah, you're right. They're like, oh,
Any
fuck, I
party
hate it when
aggrieved by
people
a
pay
decision of
attention.
The board has the right of appeal under Mass General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 17. There are a large number of items on our agenda being continued or postponed tonight, which I'll read through shortly. If anyone is here for any of those items, please note that no additional notice will be sent to you before the next meeting.
I hope we get
That's
Chad with
all.
the
Planning
complaint
division
about the
may
two
prior to our next
vans on
meeting
Lincoln Street,
confirm
just
if
like in the
item
middle of the
will be heard
meeting.
or postponed that night.
Was it council 2 months ago?
Uncommon for items
Some other
to be
shit
They got
going
these
on.
ladders
multiple
on
times
them,
before they are heard by this board.
and I almost hit my head when I get out of my truck.
So
What is it?
tonight, I suggest for purposes of streamlining our meeting, that member Berg Power offered to make motions, and that member Delaria will second motions. If anybody cannot do such an task, simply identify another member to do so.
Clearing the docket so the townies can shout at you. I love this.
Okay, we're going to go through the postponements and withdrawals. We only have postponements tonight. We have a large number. I'm going to read them all at one time.
Everyone's like, fuck this. I don't want to be a
Item
part
number
of this
one.
meeting.
Two
I don't want to
Milton
catch a
Street,
stray.
special permit and variance. Request to postpone the public meeting to June 26, 2023.
Oh, do you have to read this
deadline to July
verbatim, dude?
18, 2023. Item number 3, 11 Earl Terrace, administrative appeal application. Request to postpone the public meeting to July 17, 2023. Extend constructive grant deadline to August 8, 2023.
I want to bring up that video screen.
Item number 4,
Whoever's running WebEx
11 Earl
on the other
Terrace,
end.
special permit application. Request to postpone the public meeting to June 26, 2023. Extend constructive grant deadline to July 18, 2023.
Oh, did I
Item
did I
5,
spy?
25
Oh yeah, I
Pascal
spy.
Road, special
I got
permit
Dick Stratton
application.
hand raised.
Request to postpone the public meeting to June 26,
Get 'em.
2023. Extend the constructive grant deadline to July 18,
Oh, I
2023.
spy a little Rob Bellotta action too.
Item number 6, 2 Northborough Street, special permit and variance application. Request to postpone public meeting to June 26, 2023. Extend the constructive grant deadline to July 18, 2023.
Oh my God, such a
Item
good
8.
idea.
9 Long Meadow Ave, special permit and variance application. Request to postpone the public meeting to June 26, 2023. Extend the constructive grant deadline to July 18,
Worcester is a
2023.
reality show.
Mm.
Like
Item
already.
9, 49 West Street, special permit and variance application. Request to postpone the public meeting to June 26, 2023. Extend the constructive grant deadline to July 18, 2023. Is there a motion on those postponements?
So moved.
Is there a second? On the motion, Mr. Burke Powers,
Yes.
Mr. Delaria,
Yes.
Ms. Campanello,
Yes.
and my vote is yes. So those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, those 7 items have been postponed to future dates. If you have any questions on them, you'll have to contact the planning office on next steps on that and schedule.
If you have any questions, keep them to yourself.
Mr. Kono on board.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I do not see him identified. We do have a call-in user, so I might just have him confirm. So if we have board member Torcuno called in, if you could just identify yourself, that would be great.
This is so sick.
I've been at this for 3 years now, folks.
Okay, we still have a 4-member board, so we're going to move forward. All the
Kathy Roy
applicants are
is
aware
running
that
for
we are at a
full committee
4-member
in
board
the-
right now, and have
Kathy
discussed
versus
some-
Nelly Medina.
Yeah.
What a matchup.
Nellie's gonna fucking wash her.
Yeah.
Up next will be
They should just make that a boxing.
39 and 41 Whitmarsh Avenue. Can the applicants please come up to the podium and
Here we go.
present to us? Before we get going, there's a lot of interest in this application, and I'm going to severely limit speech on this for time constraints
Oh, don't say it
to
that way.
new issues and new comments. We
I'm
don't.
gonna
we've already
constrain
gone
free
through
speech.
all of the many of the comments from last time. We've addressed a lot of that, so I'm putting that out there. So if the applicant now turn the mic on, and
You guys were
state
saying
your
crazy
name
stuff last
say the
time, and we
resolution.
already had to answer it.
Thank you,
so
Mr. Chairman, members of
you
the
say more
board.
crazy
For the
stuff.
record, my
No
name
one
is
say anything
Todd
crazy.
Rodman. I'm a lawyer with the law firm of Cedar and Chandler here in Worcester.
Quick warning, everybody:
I'm here
if you're gonna say
tonight on
anything
behalf
crazy,
of
then I'm
Worcester
going
Community
to
Housing Resources.
violate your constitutional rights.
Excuse me. With me tonight is Andy Howarth, the Director of Real Estate, Pastor Andrew Borden from the church.
Oh, quick shout
Trish
out
Appert, the
to
Executive
all of our
Director of
fans
Friendly
that are
House,
watching,
and
lurking.
Mike Andre from
Colleen
Graves
West has made it
Engineering,
clear that
the
she's
site
watching
engineer.
tonight.
Between us,
I believe Kathy Roy probably is too.
we'll
so.
try to answer any
Welcome.
questions that you have.
What up?
And as you said at
Hello.
the outset, in the interest of brevity, Mr.
Buy a
Chairman, what
t-shirt
I
while you're
Sphincter
here.
says
suggest
what?
that I do is provide a very
They may be
brief
in the
summary
audience
of
there
what's
tonight, but I
happened since
guarantee
the
you
last
they're
meeting on May 15th.
checking on what we're saying.
And then answer any questions that you or the public may have.
It's sick that we have
So
the lawyer
since
here
the
talking
last
about
meeting,
like what's
as you
actually supposed to be
instructed
talked
us,
about
we
here,
met
and no
with the
one is going to
neighbors
address it
to
at
discuss
all.
their concerns. We've also responded to the city's questions about the operation of the shelter, including a letter from the executive director of WCHR to the chairman dated June 1st. WCHR is making a large investment in this church campus to physically upgrade the existing buildings and reinvigorate them with new uses. The proposed shelter will consist of a total of 6 bedrooms. Typically, shelter families consist of single-parent households. Some of the parents may work. The children go to school during the day. Families are vetted before entering the shelter. No drug use is allowed. There's an evening curfew, and shelter
Right, going
residents
then.
aren't allowed outside after curfew unless there are specific appointments or needs. There'll be a small outdoor passive play area for children. It's not a playground with play structures,
Oh no.
as requested by the city and the
I couldn't
neighborhood.
tell. They were mad that there
We
that there
will
might be a
install
playground,
church-
and then
we
they were
will
mad that
install
they weren't
fences
going to have
around the
places
church
to play.
campus.
So
We will work with all abutting neighbors to site those fences in a manner that's acceptable to the parties. The fence placement itself will be done pursuant to an instrument survey to determine the exact boundaries. There's an existing shed on the church campus that an immediate neighbor asked to be removed. We're going to remove that. And Trish Appert from Friendly House can answer any more specific questions about the shelter operation if we get to them. There's one change in the application, and that is initially we had indicated that part of the kitchen upgrade would be to service a food service operation from Friendly House or some other service provider that provided food that would be taken off-site to feed the hungry. That's not going to happen. So while the kitchen
Good.
is still being
People
upgraded
whine
to
so
support
much.
the church
Imagine that.
functions and WCHR functions, the shelter itself has its own kitchen, and there's no contemplated meal delivery for off-site. We believe that this combination of uses within the existing church campus provides an additional level of assurance to the neighbors in the city that this shelter in the campus won't be a
of
problem.
the comments from people
Both
against
the
this tonight
church
are going to be like,
and
well, they never
WCHR
talked to us and they
personnel
never
will be
addressed our
on
issues.
site
And
to provide
it's,
oversight for the property.
all they've ever
The
been doing
church
this
is going to
entire time
continue its
is
religious functions as
giving you
before,
information and
with the
addressing your
added
issues.
benefit of an upgraded facility constructed at WCHR's expense.
Yeah, it actually really sounded like
Finally,
a cool
having
thing that they were
Friendly
doing,
House, an experienced
utilizing
social
that
service
like pretty big kitchen
organization,
that they have there.
run the shelter component assures a professional level of management. We heard loud and
Hopefully they
clear
can
and
back for a variance
understand the
from no
neighbors'
one's paying attention
concerns
and
and have
just
tried to
reinstate
address some of them within the context of the project. We're not willing to simply drop the shelter use. People hear the word shelter and imagine the worst. In this case, the shelter consists of a total of 6 bedrooms, housing 6 families inside an existing church that's been in the neighborhood and adjacent to the offices of Worcester Community Housing Resources.
You know,
a
when
nonprofit
somebody that
agency
you
that's
hate makes a good
responsible
point and it
for the
drives you
safe
nuts.
operation of the project.
That happened in the
I also
Facebook
want to
comments
point
about
out to the
this,
board that
where
in
a guy
addition
that
to
I
the
truly
neighbors who've made their
despise
opposition known,
was like,
you've
if you guys
received
are so
email
awful
and
with what's happening to the
testimony
church, why did you stop
indicating a
going
considerable
years
level
ago?
of support for this project.
Very good point.
And when we get to the point, we request that the waivers outlined on page 3 of 7 of the staff memo be granted. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the interest of time, we'll stop and try and address any questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. If any operational questions come up, we'll dig into that then. The city's going to give a brief summary.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is Paul Delaquila with the Planning Division. We had asked the applicant from the last meeting to describe and update the operational procedures of the shelter, which I think Attorney Rodman just addressed. A couple of the matters that came up from the last meeting that there's been some movement on. The Department of Transportation and Mobility did look at the intersection of Whitmarsh and Leeds, and based on their analysis, the DTM staff is going to coordinate with DPW to replace the faded signs at the intersection, install the missing all-way plaques indicating it's an all-way stop intersection, and coordinate with the reinstallation of the previous crosswalk and stop bars that were removed during some repaving some time ago.
I love that.
Some other questions that came up at the
These are
last
things
meeting
that
as
people
well,
thought they could use
was,
to stop this from
where the
happening.
dumpsters
Was
were
those
relocated,
complaints,
the
and now
dumpsters
they're
have
just
been
getting
relocated to the
fixed.
parking lot,
Yeah.
further into the parking lot, closer
How
to
dare
the
you make our
shelter,
neighborhood better?
towards
And I
King Philip Road,
I
as
said
opposed
that
to the
to
corner
one of the
Whitmarsh
ladies
and
that
Leeds.
was yelling at me. I was like, okay, great, let's fix the fucking
Some
crosswalk.
other
That sounds amazing.
suggestions and some other recommendations that have come out since the last
No,
meeting.
not like that.
They're recommending. And this
Why
is
didn't
based
Donna
on,
Glorio
I
offer to
think,
do that
maybe
for
the
you?
applicant speak based on some of the neighborhood meetings, we're suggesting that the existing fence along the western side of the property be extended fully to the street between the properties, the parsonage at 39 Whitmarsh and the residence at 37 Whitmarsh. And also, they were suggesting, recommending a privacy fence in the parking lots at Leeds and King Philip around the property at 51 King Philip Road. As a residence there, if we can see on the lower part of the screen of the site plan on the screen there. So those were additional recommendations we had, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I want to go right to a board comment on this. And again,
Nice.
we can keep it brief.
Fuck the
and
public.
hasn't been discovered yet. Is there anyone on the board with comment? Hearing none, we will open up to public comment on the Whitmarsh.
Here we go. Let's open up
Again,
this fucking pit.
We're going to keep it brief because of the number of people here. And we're going to move right through this. If it's old information that's been brought up and there's already been addressed in the city comments, we are going to not allow it to be heard in.
This is going to be
meetings
such
save
a
time.
shit show.
Any new pertinent information, please.
Shouting people down.
Is there anyone here who would like to comment on this application? I see one hand in the back, the young lady, 2 rows back. And state your name and city residence, please. Please turn the mic on.
My name is Gwen Walsh. I'm a resident of 69 King Philip Road. I am in support of this. I walk past this campus every single day. It is very well maintained. It is an asset to the neighborhood. Adding a shelter here would be an enhancement to our neighborhood. Let's talk about what homeless people actually look like. 1 in 10 homeless people is a veteran. By age 12, 83% of children experiencing homelessness will be exposed to at least one serious violent threat. 200,000 American children will go to bed tonight without a home, or they won't go to bed tonight because they don't have a home. 63% of homeless mothers are homeless due to domestic violence. 30% of homeless people are employed. However, we have huge gaps in our system which cause them to still be homeless, such as 60% of bankruptcies, which are caused by medical debt. And in Massachusetts, the cost of living is 50% higher than the national average, and housing specifically is more than double the national average. This is a need. These are facts, and it's important that we make decisions based on facts and research and not our emotions and our fear. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope that we have a productive meeting.
Somebody sent an egg tonight.
Oh,
Anyone
yeah.
else, comment on this? Raise your hand. Pam?
I myself will speak on facts as well. Last time we were here in front of the
What's your name,
zoning
city
board,
residents?
It was suggested we have a meeting with the folks that are looking to put this project in. It was met with the disappointment from the neighborhood that the meeting was scheduled on the same day as the city council budget hearing. So our city representatives were not able to be there as suggested by the board. With that being said, we did a little digging of ourselves. I read the preliminary traffic study that was done, and I found a little bit of an inconsistency with that. I will stick to facts, not play on emotions. It states here that there was only one accident at that intersection on October 7th, 2020. One of our neighbors pulled their insurance records. 12/18/21, one of their cars were hit right at the intersection. 12/3/22, another car was hit. 3/13/2022, another car was hit. March 17th, 2021. We had asked for a very specific.
Is this traffic and parking or
study
zoning?
done.
I'm not sure what media
Not
that right now.
I'm getting
Tuesday
confused.
afternoon, sit and watch.
All these
run the
emotions
DOT
and no
records.
fact
It is a
there.
very dangerous intersection. And the fact that we're going to repaint crosswalks is
Very
not
dangerous
going to
intersection.
suffice what we're asking for in the neighborhood. It's not just the safety of our own families, it's the safety of the people at the project. Second part of that is I would like to have another
If you want
meeting
your parked
with this
cars to stop getting
organization
hit, then
outlining
take
a
my
few
dad's
other
license away.
things. It was brought up by yourself that the dumpster be located near the kitchen due to the waste and the rodent infestation in the neighborhood. By putting it in,
It sounds like your house's
parking lot,
problem, lady.
that is not what was
letting rats
suggested.
into the neighborhood.
And as you mentioned yourself, that due to studies, you need to have the dumpster closer to the kitchen. I understand you will have a lot of paper waste as you.
This lady out
mentioned
here
last
complaining
meeting,
about
but
the
we're
sighting of
asking
the
that
dumpster.
Be put
Yeah.
back.
Grasping at,
into,
literally grasping at
suggestion of the
straws.
board. Through all of this, it's been a very difficult situation. The fact that our neighborhood has not been well informed. I myself can see the church from my driveway. I think there's a lot of more questions that need to be answered where we want to go into a discovery phase and
Like
we're asking
what?
for more time before this be approved.
Discovery phase.
To iron out some of those issues to make
watching
the
too much
project either
fucking
successful or located
Netflix
somewhere
true
else.
That's what true crime gets
Um,
you, kids.
A lot has been said on social media about the neighborhood fighting for their home values. We all want to help people.
You guys
We've all
missed
worked
it.
very hard for our home values.
You guys
and
missed
there
it, but
have
she
been many
said she really
studies
hopes this
contrary
project gets
to
located
one
somewhere
of the
else.
other board members'
of course.
comments at our last meeting. We worked very hard, as well as these families are going to work very hard, and we do not want to lose the equity in our homes. I open it up.
How
to
would that
anyone else.
happen? I don't.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm just going to respond to you on the dumpster. They have reduced their kitchen load. So it's not that imperative. I would prefer it over there still, but it will still work for them. And they're still going to have a pest control management program that they're going to have to do. So it will be an improved situation. I've also instructed the city to install a fence around, I think it's 151 King Philip. So King Philip property will not be
when she's talking
bothered by
about the property values
parking lot.
thing,
It won't be
I
bothered
really
by the
do think she's
nighttime
directly
activities, the
responding to
PA
me
meetings, and it
because
won't be
I've
bothered by the
brought
also
up them
enclosed
whining about
garbage,
property values.
location.
I think I started the rhetoric on that. So
Hell yeah.
We do the best we can.
Pretty proud of myself.
As far
on that
as
one.
unknown issues.
And she was basically just like, yes.
Yeah, I wish she stated her name.
Anyone
like
else
she's
here to
supposed
comment
at
on
the
this?
beginning of her commentary,
Yeah.
so that I could tell if I'd
Sure.
been arguing with her or not.
What, we got another one or?
Mike Brennan. I
Mike
live
Brennan.
on 42 King Phillip.
Oh no, I know this guy.
Just a little testimony. Maybe they can clear up a few questions. This is an unfortunate time for the Worcester and Greendale neighborhood. We have all fallen prey to the community, to Worcester Community Housing Resources, Inc. This company preys on churches that have fallen on hard financial times and uses that church's status to force business in neighborhoods that don't need it and don't want it. At every point, Worcester Community Housing Resources has used half-truths,
What a
lies,
fucking
and
jabroni.
misinformation to their advantage.
Oh boy,
Scheduling informational meetings on the same day.
this is the
City
only
Council
problem
has their
with
budget meeting,
doing
knowing all well
things like
that
this in the city
councilors
you grew
will
up
not
in.
attend.
'Cause
These
you have to
tactics
find
and
out
many
people that you grew
others
up
have
with
been used
fucking suck.
Along with, I'm a city resident, been my whole life.
Yeah, of course.
This should be for Worcester residents, and it's not. It's
Jesus
going
Christ.
statewide. It's been said by them, the members from Friendly House. And I don't know why Worcester has to take on other people's problems. As a result,
Build the wall.
residents of this community have suffered.
How?
The neighbors have gotten together to inform the actual members of this community, not just the owners, notifying them by mail. At every turn, we've met resistance, not by our
I like to
neighbors,
picture the fact
by
that
our
this
local
guy sat
government
in his
and
house
local
last night,
politicians.
typing this
We
up,
have heard the same
and like
answers
really
over and
feeling
over again.
passionate
Our hands have
about
been
this, and
tied.
like
There's
editing
nothing we
and
can
shit.
do. If someone has
Just
a
to be
legal
this
right
boring.
now, it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong.
This guy used to rollerblade until he was like 20, so he should shut the fuck up about.
And all the supporters and all the people on
Rocking
this
K2
board,
skinny.
including the people of Worcester Community Housing Resources, do not live in this area. Because, and the people that support this, guess what? It's great for them because the likelihood of this happening in my neighborhood is the less likelihood of it happening in their neighborhood. It's just a relocation of problems.
The fuck are you talking about?
They talked about turning this project into their headquarters.
What a fucking genius.
That means a lot more traffic, and if they get that project that's up on Lincoln Street, all those people are going to come. There's going to be more traffic flow throughout that neighborhood. And it's just a self-fulfilling. We were sold out by the pastor of this church, this neighborhood church. Sold out.
So who are you mad at?
so
You were
he can run
defending
his
the
own
church
services.
before?
You should be ashamed of yourself. Thank you very much.
Anyone else in the gallery to speak?
What the
I see,
fuck?
like,
One of the
halfway
biggest
back,
fucking dorks
woman
of
with
all
a-
time.
Good lord.
Good
Yeah.
lord, dude. Oh god.
Hello, I'll just talk real quick. I just wanted to comment back because my name's Sarah Boda. I live on Ontario Street, so I do live in this neighborhood. So, I mean, he's saying that the entire neighborhood is against this. I am definitely for this shelter. I help with the fridges. I see that people use the fridges in this neighborhood. I see that there are people in need. There are homeless people in our neighborhood, whether he wants to believe that or not. There are people in Massachusetts that are homeless that need a home. And to say that a church doesn't have, that a church is not a place to have this place. I mean, I grew up as a Christian, and Jesus, what would Jesus do? I think that Jesus would be for, giving people a
You should
place
make a
to
bracelet
live
out of that.
temporarily when they're in need. So
A red bumper sticker.
I just wanted to, I know I've been on the Facebook group as well, and I would say when there's a post about this, in the neighborhood group, probably 2/3 of the people commenting back are for it and 1/3 are saying no. So
that is true. She is right.
anyway.
And
Yeah,
a lot of them,
sir, you
a lot of
have
them
your
get
chance.
deleted by the original poster.
Anyone else for
because
this?
of that.
We go way in the back, right there. The gentleman was standing up. Name and city residence.
My name is Larry Shetler. And
Oh,
I
candidate.
live in District 1. And I'm also
Oh,
on
Mo,
the
I'll
ballot.
tell you who wrote the flyer.
And I also went to the meeting. And I was pleasantly surprised. It was a overflow crowd, much like this.
Can you please address the board, please, not the audience?
Thank you, sir.
You're ready,
And
bitch.
in fact, I also reviewed.
This guy's running against Jenny.
This is the guy.
He's running
Yeah.
for Ric Flair.
And I concluded that
What's
if
going
your
on here?
your client's
looks like
needs,
fucking.
this is a
He
perfect
looks like
location
Marty
for your client.
Jannetty.
The unfortunate part, sir, is that you have a large number of stakeholders who are paying taxes and didn't sign up for this to
Oh,
affect
wow.
their housing.
Against.
And
So-
what I noticed when I went to the meeting was you had
If
groups
one of
of
these
people
dweebs tries to move
that
in,
varied in not only in
can I
age,
like
who were new renters, new
become a
owners,
stakeholder in my neighborhood?
and some
all of
folks
a
who have been
sudden?
there for over 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
And
I would very
It-
much
it
like to do that
seems to
because my
me
neighbor's
that
house
there
is for
ought to
sale
be a
right
way
now, and
that we can come to some accommodation and resolve some of
if
this.
my brother
because
doesn't buy it, then I'm gonna
as
protest
a retired urban
against whoever
planner,
does.
I know that when this kind of thing happens in a neighborhood, nobody redlines anymore, but you're going to have risk assessments. And your insurance companies are going to
Is he
trend
honestly?
you in some opposite directions of where you are right now. In other words, perhaps your insurance will go up and perhaps.
Yeah, we don't redline anymore, but we
you guys-
redline.
We do
homes will
red
go down.
line, and you're trying to tell me
That's
you're
not
trying
a
to tell
bad
me
plan.
that
It's
the
just what we
fucking
do.
Mercedes owners that live
So,
across the street from
What I'm
this
wondering is
church are
can
victims of
we take
redlining?
pause here a little and perhaps regroup, as some of you folks have thought about,
Again, will you continue to address the board, not the audience?
and
I thought he was going to restrict
perhaps
speech.
we can come to some
Right.
meaningful approach that can help out. And that's what I'd like to share with you, because I was there, I went there and I saw that two sides were actually trying hard to make some things work, or at least they were listening.
Oh
And I
my
thought that
God.
was pretty important. And so that's it for me. And I want to thank you for your time, Mr. Chairman.
Oh my
Thank you
god,
very
Jenny,
much.
Say nothing.
Jenny should debate this guy. She will fucking
I see
wax
Jenny
his
in the
ass.
front, and we're going to let her speak again. Come on up,
Who?
but please keep it brief.
I'm Carrie Boyd, and I live at the corner of 12
Oh, yeah,
Leeds
this is
and
the
Newport.
lady.
This is the
And
lady.
today, I
This is the
received
lady
a
that yelled at me.
newsletter from the church, from Grace Ministries, stating that in April, they signed a purchase and sales. It wasn't listed in April's newsletter. It was not listed in May's. However, it was listed today that they came to an agreement and that a purchase and sales was signed in April. When we asked that question, they had told us that that was not signed. This is from today. It was sent out to a few neighbors, and I would love to share this with you.
She told me that
Yeah,
she
thanks
runs
for that again. We don't have access to that information.
a dozen
Nor is that relevant to our
centers?
discussion here at the board.
Okay, because we asked the question at the meeting and it wasn't answered appropriately. We asked if the purchase and sales was signed, and this is from them, Grace Ministries,
God.
in their newsletter that states that it was signed in April,
Right, again,
contrary to what we were told.
Oh, Jesus
I
Christ.
wasn't in that
the
meeting. I don't
Karen
know what was said. and it's
radiating
not
off of
germane to
this
the
lady.
Oh,
city's
dude,
meeting
it's
right now.
crazy.
And to speak to the safety, that is not an appropriate study. I believe that should come via strips. That is not a safe intersection.
It would be great
I
if
myself, in 2 years.
one of these people does ask to
3 of my
speak to their
family
manager,
members
and then like
have
Eric,
been-
they go and get
their
Eric,
cars have
and
been
Eric comes
hit
out and
or
has to
been in
actually talk to them.
accidents.
Then
So
their heads
I
explode.
brought those documents today for you to view, and those do not go along with what your study should suggest. But I have them certified from the insurance companies if you'd like to see those.
Yeah, you can submit all your documents to the city and they'll get them to the board members.
she yelled a lot,
Yeah, go ahead.
and then stormed out of the meeting,
worcesterma.gov
and
is the
then
email
waited
to
outside to
send
yell
those
at me
documents to.
at the first meeting, which I thought was.
And again, I'm to the city, I'm not sure, but when we're doing traffic studies, and if they do a table study, are they looking at police records or insurance records? I really don't know.
Through the chair, I have sent a message to my colleague to confirm the source of the data, but I don't have a response yet.
Thank you. Thinking on the same line there. Who else in here? Let's we're gonna go this side. There was a gentleman back here in the red, halfway back. Again, give us your name, where you live, and we'll try to keep it brief.
Mr. Chair, just while this gentleman comes to this, the podium, just want to alert you, there's several people online as well. So just let me know when you're ready for those.
Okay, we'll start switching around. Thank you, Paul.
My name is Reverend Aaron Payson. I live at 22 Kinney Drive in Worcester, and I'm the pastor of the Unitarian Universalist Church over on Shore Drive and Holden Street. One of the things that I've been thinking about as I've been listening to the testimony about this particular kind of project happening is that, like our congregation and dozens of congregations across the region, years ago, our church buildings actually did house homeless families 2 weeks at a time, usually, in the Interfaith Hospitality Network, where we moved families from church to church every 2 weeks in order to take care of them. We established eventually a static site on June Street that is now called In Our Hour of Need Shelter, where churches continue to support that effort with volunteer efforts. The idea that putting families, homeless families, in a space like this is going to degrade property value or is going to degrade the neighborhood has not borne out in any of the previous attempts that we've used to be able to respond to the housing crisis. And as to the comment about shaming my colleague, there is no shame in living out one's values in order to take care of the most vulnerable in our community. And I stand with him, and other churches stand with him as colleagues and with the congregation.
But I like this dude.
Yeah, he's good.
He actually is a good guy.
Step up and do this work. And as for neighborhoods that will welcome the opportunity to do this, more neighborhoods will step up, because it is our responsibility
thank you so much for
to
joining us
care
to
for our neighbors.
co-sign.
And so for
Yeah.
my issue is that I think it's a misnomer to assume that other neighborhoods aren't interested in this work and haven't been doing this work for decades. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go to online. We'll take 3 online callers right now, Paul.
Sure, I'm just going to go on the number. I saw the hands raised. There's a Mr. Stratton.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Oh,
but
Stratton.
Go ahead
I
online.
wasn't
Mr.
confident
Stratton,
in
name
my
and city of
memory
residence.
kit.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Eric Stratton. I live in Worcester off of Salisbury Street. As the previous speaker said, I am in full support of this, and frankly, I look forward to my neighborhood and other neighborhoods stepping up to do this type of work as well. There's no shame in helping other families, especially young families, women, children who need homes and shelters. I know, where I live, we live next to a facility that was protested previously. The neighborhood did not want it there and had tried to fight against it. We live next door. They are wonderful neighbors. They are very kind. We have no complaints at all with them. This has not affected our property values. I think a lot of these concerns are really based in fear, frankly, and it's very disappointing to see. I really hope that the board will continue to move forward with this project. It sounds like the groups involved have put a lot of work into resolving a number of these concerns that actually have basis in fact, rather than those that are just simply based out of prejudice and or fear. And I really hope to see this project move forward, along with hopefully more projects like this, as there is a massive amount of need here in our city. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you.
Good job,
Paul,
Eric.
the next online caller.
Sure, the next online participant.
Nicely
Yenny
done, Eric.
DeRoches.
Doing the union
ahead,
proud.
Hi, I'm Yenny DeRoche.
Hey, Yenny.
A fucking block.
33 Monroe Ave. I know I'm on the other side of the city from this project, but I live diagonal from a shelter that has an 8-bedroom family shelter. They're essentially 2 houses away from me around the corner on June Street. And I have not noticed a single issue with my property values. I have had my house reassessed by both for resale value as well as on taxes multiple times since that shelter went in and before it. It has not affected my insurance rate. And I've actually had some pretty decent friendships form with people who lived there who were just needing a place to go in the meantime while they figured out somewhere better to be. It's about alleviating hardship, and it's not a hardship on the community. I think the most problem we have was initially when it first opened up, there was some parking. People were parking in front of people's houses that were upset by having a car there, even though they never used those parking spots. Overall, I have no problems living right next to a 8-bedroom family shelter, and this is only proposed to be a 6-bedroom. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, Yanni.
Yeah, Yanni.
Thank you
Great
for that.
job.
Paul, one more caller online.
Sure. Next up in this round, William
shelter
Thomas.
went up. They filled the Doherty Memorial High School auditorium
Hey,
for that
Mr.
one.
Thomas.
So, Brian, your people are amateurs. Yeah. Get angry,
Really.
kid.
Mr. Thomas, you're on mute if you can hear this.
We'll go to the next one. We can go back to Mr. Thomas.
Can you hear me now?
Oh boy.
We got you.
Here we go.
Yeah, I'm on King Philip Road. I had a couple of quick questions. One is, what would this mean for the development of possible future facilities of this sort in the neighborhood and/or expansion of this facility? And also, will there be commercial truck traffic
and water
associated with
sugar.
deliveries to the commercial kitchen?
Yeah.
What?
thanks. We can.
Did you listen to anything? Oh
Oh, did
God.
it?
Oh no. Travis.
Oh,
that
no.
guy crashed your computer because you made fun of him and said that he was Edgar from
Someone could come up
Men in
with one
Black.
tomorrow.
Will
Try to get
Thomas's
one,
questions
approved.
won't be
As
answered
far as the
on the
truck
stream.
traffic, we've
That's
already
a
reduced the
fucking
size of the
crime.
kitchen. Traffic over there is going to be no more than it was for the church when it was fully active. Is that clear with the applicant? Is that what the applicant believes?
Yes, the commercial kitchen will host a few functions a month, maybe, no more plans for meal delivery service. So there will be no commercial truck traffic around that particular use.
All right, thank you. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, but it pisses me
Paul,
off.
can we do
that it
one more
does.
online if you got someone lined up?
Wow.
Sure. Next, I have Morgan Lee.
Go ahead, Morgan.
Yes, hello. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yeah, go
Oh
ahead.
yeah, dude.
Go ahead.
My name is Morgan Lee, and I live at 15 Montvale Road, so I'm a little bit further away from this project, but I'm along with several other people here, voicing my full support for this project. I don't live near any shelters like this, but I live near the what is it, a little food pantry down at one of the churches that's nearby to WPI's campus. And I've definitely seen the good that a small project like that has done in my time living in Worcester. And things like that make me proud to have moved here and to call this place my home. And any further projects like this, anywhere near me, I would welcome. And I think we should all be very... It's nice to see people coming together to try to provide help to families in need. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. We're going to go back to in-house here for a little bit. Who's
Oh, boy.
next? We'll go way in the back. You've been patient in this. No, not the gray sleeve, the dark sleeve. Yeah, you. Yeah.
Hey, you look fucking crazy.
Bring up one of them dock sleeves.
Identify yourself in residency.
We heard enough from the gray sleeves. Let's get some dock sleeves in here.
I played dark sleeves for my viola symphony.
My name is Father Dave Wessner.
I live in the city of Worcester here. I'm also the priest and pastor at St. Michael's on the Heights Episcopal Church, which is just a few blocks from this campus.
Okay.
I'm here to say that myself, Deacon Diane Wilson, all the members of our clergy, as well as our vestry, that is our lay council, are fully in support of this. And we look forward to partnering with Grace Lutheran Ministries, with WCHR as well. I'd like to say just a little bit about why that is for us and why we believe that this actually will be a blessing for our community. Jesus and his family spent their earliest years without a stable home, living in Egypt.
Exploded Bill.
During his ministry, Jesus told
He
us
was smote.
Foxes have dens, birds have
Bill
nests,
Jesus?
but the Son
I've never
of
seen them in
Man
the same room.
has nowhere to lay his head. And his last teaching before his betrayal in the Gospel of Matthew.
Oh, I couldn't
was
take that. No Jesus. No Jesus for me, please.
And nobody. Telling us that whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me.
Oh boy, this guy gonna give a whole fucking
Jesus
sermon.
knew what it was.
That's
to
how
have
you
no
support
home.
it, dude.
So in the church,
Monday night, man. Your day was
we
yesterday.
see no distinction
Yeah.
between those who are experiencing homelessness and those who are not. We
Yesterday was the
truly
Lord's
believe
day. Today is
that
the
in
day for
spending
the full
time
force of
with them,
reality.
in helping them in
Today's
their
the
troubles,
board's day.
in helping
The
them
zoning
get back to their
board.
feet. We get to see glimmers
Here
of
we go.
Jesus himself.
WCT3k.storenvy.com.
That through the grace of God, we have an experience of the
shirts.
taste of heaven, the home to which we are all returning.
BillShaner.substack.com. Support this work.
Our church is comprised of
I
many
saw
people who have lived in this neighborhood.
Friend of the show,
for
Johanna
generations,
Hampton Dance,
very
with
proudly
a-
so, including
with one of our
some who
shirts
live
in the wild.
just mere houses
That's
up the
awesome.
road
The other
on
day.
Whitmarsh.
During a campaign
We are
event for
uniformly
her.
in favor of this for exactly these reasons, that we believe that joining together in ministry truly enriches us in our religious purpose for this neighborhood and reflects the best that we have to offer as a community. I'd like to say a time that has mattered in the past as well. 70 years ago this Friday, this very Friday, our church was destroyed by a tornado. The tornado of 1953.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Which destroyed much of the neighborhood of Greendale.
And then the Rolling
Some
Stones
folks
played
who are
the
here
cove.
have stories in their family too of
This is
having
why you
their
don't call on them
homes
dark sleeves.
destroyed.
Yeah, I've
The
heard enough of
community
these dark
banded
sleeves.
together and helped to rebuild our church.
It's very
The
funny to
community banded
visually
together
call out
and helped to
somebody
provide homes for
and
those
it's a
whose homes
priest
had
and
been
you
destroyed.
don't comment that, hey,
Helped
that priest.
poured in from this neighborhood, and then that
Yeah,
neighborhood
right.
became
The most
a
Hey, the
magnet
guy with
for
the
help
fucking
around the world.
weird little collar.
I
Can
believe
the guy with the weird little
that
collar
that
come up?
spirit, regardless of what people's religious motivations may be, is still in Greendale. I attended our previous the meeting that was held at Zion Lutheran Church, and I heard anger and frustration and fear in our neighborhood.
Oh boy.
Fear of losing the investment and the hard work of a lifetime that is represented in the equity of a house.
All these people inherited their
This
houses.
is a
I'm
reasonable
sorry. I
concern
will not
to
come
have.
off of that point.
But a good neighborhood can be measured by more than just the neatness of lawns and painting
Hell yeah.
and the
nothing
values
is
of real
crew.
estate.
Yeah, nothingness gang.
It can
We
be
out
measured
here
by how
staring into the
caring
void.
folks are for one another, how willing we are to lend a hand when someone is struggling.
We out here making the worst of our
And I
short
know
time
that
on
this
planet.
is the spirit of Greendale, because our church would not have been rebuilt 70 years ago without that.
So
We out here leaving
I ask
indelible marks.
the board to hold this in mind, and for all of us to
the
think about what
church in
nurturing and
Spencer burning
nourishing this
down, which
spirit
I do
would
think is
mean
sad
for our
that
community.
anytime
for
a
sure.
historic
Thank you for
building
your
burns
time.
down. But I saw somebody post,
Thank you for
I
that.
don't know how many people are going to get this, but they just posted a picture
we
of
had
the
this guy
fire and
way in
said,
the
oh, I
back
didn't know
here,
Varg
the
was in
ball
town.
cap. Yeah, take your hat off and house.
Wow. That fire looked like
City
mayhem.
residency.
Eric,
Eric, good job.
My name is Noah Meister. I'm a resident of Worcester. I live on Bates Ave off of Lincoln Street in the neighborhood. I came here tonight because I want to express my
I think we missed
support
that.
for
I'm
this
pretty sure the
initiative.
chair just made this guy take a hat
There's
off.
a serious
I was
housing
gonna say,
problem in Worcester,
somebody
and I'm
just
very
said, "Take
happy
your
and
hat off
proud
in the
that there are
house."
organizations in my
Who's
neighborhood
this, Tony
that are willing
Soprano
to
at a
step
nice
up and take
restaurant?
action on that. And I hope that it encourages other organizations and the city to take these steps as well. I am not afraid of someone without a home getting shelter
Absolutely.
in a place near me, but what does scare me is the fact that so many people who live around me are
You're
more
fucking
concerned about
nuts.
the value of their homes than whether or not someone or a
That
family
lady,
is going
this
to
lady's gonna be
live
so
or
mad that she
die
didn't
on the
get to talk
street
after
in
this
their
guy.
neighborhood. And so if that's the most compelling reason that you came here tonight, because of the value of your home, I would encourage you to think about what you would do and how you'd want your neighbors to react if you didn't have somewhere to sleep. Thank you.
Booyah. Fucking
Thank you.
boom.
Yeah, this guy with his arm shooting right up
Spike
there.
your hat on the ground, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dude, I
Blue
love the
jean-
guy.
blue
The way
jean
this
shirt,
guy's
yeah.
calling
And you can go
people out.
next
Yeah,
now.
this guy with his arms.
My name is Alan Kemp. I
Go
live
ahead.
at 46 Lead Street.
Go
I'm here to
ahead,
say,
Blue G.
as a community, we're not against the homeless shelter. We just don't want it in our neighborhood because, like the pastor said, whoever's speaking, excuse me, there's other places, other churches that do want this. So why not just put it there? Make it a lot easier.
Because this church wants it.
That's how we feel. It's like it's going to bring our property value down. A lot of people talking about property values who don't own property, who don't understand what that means.
I do.
And I think that's the big issue up here. Everybody's coming up
That's
here,
an
oh, I
assumption.
live here, but you actually don't. You rent here. It's a different thing.
I don't own
And
property, and I
is,
don't give a fuck.
You know, you're gonna
about your property
bring people
value,
in and board them up. Like, how are they gonna get to work? They're not in a central location for them to even take the public transportation to get to work or to get to a job because they're so secluded to it.
Do you know how close to a bus line they are?
Location. There's no real place for them to go or to get anything to eat. Really,
Fuck
they
this
can't go
guy.
shopping. They need a car. And I just think it's not fair to us people who worked hard all their entire lives to just
Wow.
throw something on us like this. You know, there's other places here, central downtown area that can also provide shelter for them as well. There's
There
a lot
are
of
shelters
benefits
down there.
that can also provide a place for them. That's going to be more beneficial for them. And I think that should be considered for them as well. And I think the question was asked, what would Jesus do? Maybe he would donate to churches that to sell it.
What? Well, mic drop.
Young lady.
Oh, that was very interesting.
Hi,
That's
my
weird
name is
trying to
Caroline
do work,
Norton.
but I
I
can't help but
am
keep
a Worcester
getting pulled
resident
back
and
in.
a UMass Chan medical student.
When you hurt your cause.
And I'm here to speak in
simply by
favor of the
speaking.
shelter. I understand the fear of change that accompanies the development of this shelter and the memories associated with this existing facility. However, we are at a time in our country where change is necessary. I am a medical student and I see patients who are refugees and patients who are unhoused. I am also a survivor of domestic violence. 63% of unhoused mothers are unhoused due to domestic violence. I was born and raised in Massachusetts and am someone who has been privileged enough to never face houselessness, but that is not because I did something right. It is because I was lucky and because I utilized the resources that I had access to because I am a survivor of domestic violence and those resources are important. Many others like me are in dire need of housing due to factors entirely outside of our control, and who are we to reject those individuals? Further, providing housing for refugees and other unhoused folks is not a burden, it is good for the local economy. By providing the basic necessities to live, people can become productive members of society and give back. That is what I am doing as I work towards becoming a doctor. After utilizing Worcester's resources for domestic violence survivors. Anyone opposing this existing space becoming a safe and welcoming home is standing in direct objection to the basis of this country. It is unethical to prohibit those in need of housing from having somewhere to live, and it is short-sighted to try and prevent change, which will bring about a better Worcester for us all. I was a good return on investment, and the people living in this shelter will be too. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that.
It should be the final
this
word
gentleman
on
up
it,
front
right?
in the cheap jean jacket, no more than 3 minutes. You'll get 3 minutes.
My name is Alan Cussy. I own the house at 42 Summerhill Ave. Okay, I've listened to all these people talk today, and most of these people that are all for this aren't even from this neighborhood.
Greendale only extends from Randolph Road to the summit, from West Boylston Street
What's
to
his name?
Burncoat
Alan
Street.
Bussey?
Other than that, the other people don't have much say in this because it's not going to affect them.
Alan Bussey has logged on.
They can talk all their sympathies and this and that, but let's talk some facts, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Greendale holds approximately 8,000 people in population.
Oh, okay.
Out of
We're
that
doing basic
population
facts.
of 8,000, almost
This
1/3 of those are
could
kids
not let other people speak.
kindergarten
during the
through
meetings.
12th grade.
He was yelling about
1/3 of that
property
population.
values every time
And
somebody spoke.
1/3 of that population also lives in apartments. So basically, it's 2.5 people per house. If you look on the records, so if you take 8,000 people, you break it down, that's approximately 32 housing developments, housing places for people to live. If you take away the 35%
You can tell by
of the
just
apartments, that still
the
leaves
manner
about
of speaking
2,000
whether someone is
single-family
for or
homes
against.
in this neighborhood, which is very compacted.
This is an against
Okay?
voice.
And if you take the average mean value of a house, which is $400,000, and you take away 10% of their value,
He kind of just accidentally said he
that's
was for housing
$40,000 per house times 2,000 houses. That's $80 million in taxable revenue that you are going to lose.
Why? How?
Okay. Because of this project. I don't think that this
Oh,
project
wow.
is going to supplement the city of Worcester.
Business
as well as
mindset
the
as well.
tax-paying
Yeah.
citizens are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I fucking hate these
that's
old
basic
hippies.
economics. It's pretty simple, cut and dry.
No,
And
it's
as far
not.
as one church helping another, that's their job. Other churches should help them.
Shut up,
They
Alan
should be in
Bussey.
together and help each other, but not at the expense of the neighborhood.
His daughter is the one that wrote.
I've
the
been in
fly-
that house
wrote
for
the
68
flyers, by the
years.
way.
I've seen a lot of things go through in this town, but this is Greendale. This is not the rest of the city. Greendale's rated like number 2 in the area as one of the best neighborhoods that you can possibly live in Massachusetts.
Okay.
Check the facts online, right there. And you're going to take
According
a
to
neighborhood and you're going
nextdoor.com.
to feed it with problems like this of overburdening the
Yeah,
area
I
with
read that on
business and vehicles
greendalerules.com.
and undocumented
According
or
to a poll I
documented
posted at the
homeless
mall.
refugees.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm all for helping people. We're all for helping people.
No, you're not.
The problem
Actually,
is, help the elderly, help the veterans. Those are the people that need our help. People have a vested interest in this country.
Okay, that's
literally
3 minutes to
what-
get into. it.
Oh,
Take your seat,
only
please.
help people who have a vested interest in our country.
Right.
The gentleman in the red
God,
shirt, way
fuck
back
this
wall.
guy. I hope I see him out in the neighborhood. Tell him he's a bussy little bitch.
Call him a twink.
Name and city residence.
My name is Dylan Robson. I'm a lifelong resident of Worcester, Massachusetts.
I'm gonna piss on
I
his
grew up in the
house.
city. Have been
Calvin style.
homeless in my childhood a few times.
This guy
So I've
has
been in
a
and out of
four
these sorts
voice.
of places. I live over on Montague Street now, which is of course right by the Washburn Recovery Center.
NIMBY is too nice a word for these
Another
people.
sort of similar housing project that's
Doesn't
being
quite
proposed
capture
here. So the issue is housing the homeless in Worcester. There's obviously a problem. There's been a problem for some time now, and the city itself has always
Miss Slippy, we're winning the
defaulted
meeting.
to
I'm
a
keeping
more
score.
hostile
I'll
stance
total
when
it
it
up at
comes
the
to
end.
dealing with that problem. I think there was even a budget hearing meeting recently where they wanted to allocate more funds to this problem, but it was passed up. So any little help, even if it comes from a church, housing homeless people is a good Christian thing to do, I think. And the lack of city funding and efforts toward fixing that problem is the problem itself. It's not churches trying to solve that problem. It's lack of funding and like more efforts in that regard.
Right, and if the city did try
and
and
there's an
fund this,
increasing
then
need for
Alan
it.
Bussey
It's,
would be the first one
I've
to try and
noticed more
stop it.
homeless people as of late over the past couple of years, and it's getting worse. And again, the city is maintaining its hostile attitude toward the problem instead of like trying to fix it, passing the buck. In regards to the people who are concerned about their property values, what have you, I lived in the Greendale area in my childhood. I went to Abbey Kelly Foster Elementary as well, so I know the area, and it's nice. Greendale's a really nice area. And whenever I'm over there now, I don't see as many homeless people there, and I doubt 6 families are gonna affect what was it, 80,000 you said that are over in that part.
He's gonna
Yeah, direct comments here, not for the
Okay.
audience.
So,
not to Alan Bussey.
Property values are also determined by wider
Squad.
economic forces than just like the immediate area. There's city value. And again, like Worcester's on the up and up. Property values here are going up. So I fail to see how a renovated church is going to negatively affect that. I think it would better it, if anything, just given the broader trend that's going on in the city.
We understand.
Combination with like a nicer looking church in the neighborhood. And it just seems a little selfish to me. You know, these people who are just like so obstinate against doing that.
Can't wait for
Especially if it's
Alan
not gonna come at the
Bussey
cost
to
of the
meet you in hell.
The public.
In like 5 years.
Yeah, thank you, sir. In the audience, we've got the gentleman over
I
here.
think the
on
guy did a
side.
joke at the end, and I didn't catch it. But the guy from the
Name
board
and
no
city
sold
residence.
it hard.
Good evening. My name is Ken Bates. I live at 21 Brighton Road in Worcester and have lived in Worcester my entire life. I'm also president and CEO of Open Sky Community Services, and we have,
Should be
as
a
you may
4.
know, some experience running a shelter here in the city of Worcester. I do consider myself a resident and a neighbor to Greendale, even though I live a little bit on the other side of Burncoat Street. I would encourage my colleagues through the chair to at Friendly House and Worcester Community Housing Resources to continue with an open dialogue.
Bronco Street.
I think
That would be so cool.
having the
I'd have to move
opportunity
there.
for the residents to share the impact that will happen, there will be impact, and acknowledging the impact in the neighborhood, I think is really important, and addressing concerns as they arise in a timely way. I know that weekly meetings can help allay the fears and again, respond to the concerns that will come up on a regular basis when you operate a shelter. I want to continue to encourage the open dialogue here in the city of Worcester, as people have mentioned. There's a significant crisis that's not going away and is likely getting worse every day. I'm proud to live in the city of Worcester. I'm proud to see my neighbors here. I haven't seen for a long time, but it's important we all come together as best we can, acknowledge the impact in the neighborhood, and work together. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Right.
We're going to go online for 3 or 4.
In order that they raise their hands, next up is David Webb.
Hey.
Oh, okay. Hey, David Webb.
Fucking Webb.
Yes, hello. My name is David Webb. I'm a resident and small business owner in Worcester. I volunteered for the Interfaith Hospitality Network, which the pastor earlier mentioned, and I know how helpful these shelters are for getting families back on their feet. The first step to helping people get their feet on the ground is a roof over their head. This is great for the
Please
city.
get closer to your mic. We can't hear you that well.
Sorry. This will be great for the city. The first step to helping people get their feet on the ground is a roof over their head. Can you hear me a little better now?
No.
I can hear
Slightly
fine.
better.
I'm so sorry about that. Was this better? Okay, I'm just going to hope everyone can hear me. The first step to helping people get their feet on the ground is a roof over their head. This is great for the city and will be life-changing for hundreds of families a year. So let's ignore the not in my neighborhood crowd whining about home values and insurance, trying really hard to do enough math to justify their position.
Boom.
That old Zito phone from earlier, I bet his house has gone up in value fine the 60 years he's lived here. His house value has probably gone up more in the past 5 years than it did in the decade before that. But here they are trying to do enough math to justify that homeless people shouldn't inconvenience them. I am just here to say that this is obviously a good thing, and we should not let selfish people prevent it from happening. That's it.
Nice.
Thank you. David, next.
Good point. Well stated.
Roasted his ass.
Mr. Chair, I have two people, I have two screens named Sherry. I don't know if they're different people or not. So I'll just say
Speak at
Sherry.
the same time. Speak at the same time.
See how it goes.
I'm maybe one of the Sherrys.
This is
my
an against
name
voice.
is Sherry Lynn, and I am a resident of Van Street. I rent, although I am very aware of my landlord's income taxes and the amount I pay to him for that.
What does that mean?
Also work at 91 June Street, which is in the Hour of Need family shelter.
Just took a Valium.
It is located less than a half mile from where I live.
Oh,
I
no.
also wear the hat of the president of the board of management at the UUCW. Reverend Aaron spoke to you earlier about our involvement with finding shelter for families experiencing homelessness. And I also want to thank you, Yenny. I haven't met you, our neighbor, yet, but we house 6 families at a time in our shelter.
Oh, I was wrong.
This
is a 4-voice.
Live, work, worship, and it's the most exciting experience of my life.
I was gonna say
I
nerves
am
can do this to people. I've heard it.
Yeah.
Providing more accessible housing.
Sorry, I'm just a dickhead.
I
Sorry, Sherry.
can't tell you how moving it is as a human experience to help people in difficult situations, which I have also found myself in. I would love to welcome anyone who is interested in a firsthand experience of what it's like to have a shelter in their neighborhood to come and visit. Give me a call, 508-755-2212.
No, because if I do that, then I'll know I'm wrong. Can't do that. That's so nice.
Mr. Chair,
That's
the
great.
next hand raised is a phone number. It begins 7742 and ends in 70. If they could identify
I can
themselves
figure
when
it
they
out.
speak.
I can figure out that whole phone number. I've been to an escape room.
I think the speakers
Hello?
are muted now. Perhaps I'll move on to the next
Hello,
one,
everyone.
Mr. Chair.
Can you hear me?
They always come right at the nick of
Yeah.
time.
All right, great. Hey, thank you very much. My name is Rick Cipro, lifelong
Oh yeah.
resident of Greendale.
I think sounds like a 4-voice. I don't know.
I'm just here to quickly speak on, really, I think it's coming down that people are trying to
Rick Zipper.
portray the neighborhood as
Rick
against
Zipper.
homeless families.
Look
That's
at that.
not the case. That is not the case. So really what this comes down to is, and I think the board really needs to look at this, is once this is established here, what is it going to stop it from expanding? I think the board member, Mr. Chairman, you already mentioned that.
I wonder if Rick
that,
knows
hey,
anything
if
about
they can expand if they
expanding
need to. This is a
against the
zoning
public's
board.
will.
What this neighborhood is really concerned about is
Incrementalism
what is going to happen
and creeping,
during the winter and
budgets.
in the winter months and the summer months when this turns into an emergency
Listen, I've
shelter.
spent my entire career
Heating
terrorizing these
and or
people.
cooling.
All right, I'm not about to start helping them now.
I know how to say one thing and do a
Has over
different thing.
$57
Okay,
million
I know how to
organizations
use public
such as
statements
that to help them
trick people
do
into
this,
getting what I want.
during these months. And they did it down at Blessed
Rick
Sacrament.
Zipper. That's his new
And
name now.
regardless of what
because
anyone
it said it in
says, the numbers don't lie
closed
of what
caption.
happened at
Rick
Blessed Sacrament.
Zipper.
Over 77 calls, police incidents at Blessed Sacrament, anything from assaults to drug overdoses to threats.
I'd
and
love
that's
to,
a
I'd love
4-month
to get the
period.
numbers on
That is
Blessed
in
Sacrament from a
4-month
reliable
period,
source.
77 calls. 35 of those were 911 calls. Now, there is no doubt that you have to understand, and I appeal to the board to understand
77
that this will
calls,
expand.
less
There is
than
no
half of
doubt
them were
that they're going to turn
911
this
calls.
into emergency shelter at some point.
So why don't we use
and
the
it's going to
emergency
affect the neighborhood in totality. Now, that is just, those numbers I gave you are just for that address of Federal Place and of Pleasant Street, where Blessed Sacrament was. That does not constitute the neighbor
Man,
calls
cops are good at
we've ever
scaremongering.
received for B&E motor vehicle.
Hey, listen, my
B&Es and
entire
whatnot
career is
around
built
that
on the
surrounding
premise that we
area.
need
It is
a population to
unfortunate
terrorize.
that
All
many of
right?
our homeless population
And we did a
has
really
to,
good job at Blessed Sacrament.
go to
I want to
those
keep doing it
situations where
there.
they do commit crimes, but it is part of that. So one thing you just really have to understand, and really what these neighbors are talking about up here, is the expansion of this. Because it's going to expand.
No,
that commercial
it's
kitchen
really not what
is
anyone's
an
talking
issue.
about. Also,
There's
way
no
outside
doubt
the scope of the
that,
ZBA
they're going
meeting
to
should be
take
cut
it
off.
away from the premises now.
He doesn't,
16
not even
million.
listening because they
But
don't.
once
They're
that
not
commercial
doing that.
kitchen is in there, they're going to be able to house and or feed in an emergency situations for up to 4 months homeless in this particular neighborhood. And this is not the neighborhood for it, just as the Pleasant Street neighborhood was not the neighborhood for it. So I asked
What's
that
the neighborhood
you take
for
into
it, Rick?
consideration
Yeah,
this
what's the
specific
definition of the
project,
neighborhood for it, Rick?
because I
What
believe,
neighborhoods are you
it may be an opinion,
comfortable
but it has been happening around
What,
the state, and the state has plenty of money
letting
for
people
organizations.
like? I don't know.
specific
You
What are the
think they're-
qualifiers?
You think they're abusing the
I
neighborhood,
believe
and
that's
which
why they're
neighborhoods
keeping
do
the
you
church
think
there,
are
to
fine to do
partner
that
with
in?
the church. So
Yeah,
they can
let's
get
ask
these
the
additional
cop which
funds
neighborhoods
to
the
actually put
abuse
these,
can happen in.
shelters for individuals, not for families.
It's like a
Those emergency
twofold
shelters
like
will not be
piece
for
of shit
families. Sure,
argument.
those
Like
6 families will live there.
Listen, this is
but
outside the
rest
boundaries
will
of
be
ShotSpotter.
single
All right,
occupancy.
this is
living
outside the
use. I'm
containment
not sure
zone.
where.
You know what though?
This
So I
Here's
really
the
ain't
ask
in
that
the
the board really
reservation.
consider this
Here's the thing.
as they
It
make
actually
their final
isn't.
determination of
Right,
the,
right.
We have
the second
ShotSpotter
and
up here.
subsidiary effects
ShotSpotter
of
is
this
the clearest
decision,
indication we've ever
moving
had
down
of
the road and
where
the effect on this
policing actually
very,
happens.
very great Greendale community. So again, thank you very much.
I would love to.
Yeah, thanks.
I
for
would
that.
love
Two
to
things. Number one, when I
answer
talked about the
that
expansion,
question.
I was talking about other people could come in and file to make a shelter in the area if they found space, if it worked for their business model. I didn't say these people were going to expand. These people can't expand unless they come back to this board, and it's likely not going to happen. Second, what was your other point?
Well, the point, I don't believe it'll expand. You know, they can then
yeah,
make it an
no,
emergency
I'm talking
shelter.
now.
They
Hang
can
on, stop.
absolutely make an emergency shelter.
Sir, please quiet a minute, will you? I talked about the expansion. And your second point was the emergency shelter and what happened in Pleasant Street. Two different animals. This is never going to be that.
I don't know if I like that
They
framing,
can't
but
do it. If they did, number one, the neighborhood would be up in
Yeah.
arms if it was.
A little bit too much of a
in
concession
place.
in there for me.
And we would find out about it. when we
also
stopped.
framing it as animals.
And I'm
But
confessing that. It's
Yeah.
a family shelter kind of situation, long term. We're not.
It
bringing
will be
people-
like that.
No, it will not. And I'm speaking. I interrupt you. Don't interrupt me.
It will be
Quiet now.
like that. Let's talk it.
So, so those are the two facts I want you to hear. Next
yeah.
online, Paul.
Was
Next
that
up,
was
Mr.
that
Chair, is
Cipro
Lisa
yelling
Martin.
that right there, or was that somebody else? Sound like somebody else.
That was him.
Hi, thank
Was
you
it
for
Cipro?
allowing me
I
to
love
speak
how
during this. My name is Lisa Martin. I am
I
a
love how
resident
easy
on
he is
Bourne
to like
Street, so
fucking
just a couple streets
unravel.
over from the church. I'm a lifelong resident of the Burncoat Greendale area, and I 100% fully support housing some of our most
Rick
vulnerable
Zipper
families,
almost
mostly mothers
became
and
your-
children who
Fuck
are put
off,
into
Zip.
an unfortunate situation. I think a lot of the neighbors aren't understanding. A good bulk of them are homeowners, and they're not grasping what the rental market is. I myself am a renter. I'm very fortunate, but a lot of families are not, and they're being forced into evictions because landlords are raising their rents unbelievably, and new landlords are requiring, near perfect credit scores and 3 times the monthly rent for an income. And in the city of Worcester, that's not possible when a family is earning a minimum wage job. So I am in full support of this, and I have put it out there to some of the neighbors in a local Facebook group that maybe they should consider volunteering when this opens. I know I, for one, would be more than happy to volunteer sometime at the family shelter. So again, I am in full support of this. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go back to in-house, and I'm going to preface this by saying we're looking for new information, stuff that hasn't been talked about. If anyone has any new content they want to add,
the room clears out.
We can go over and over and over again on what's already been said. I will stop anybody who's repeating because there's a lot of things to be accomplished tonight. So we're going to go in-house, and who wants to speak in-house? Is there anyone left?
Perfectly
Sir,
put.
with your hand up,
Like,
second row back.
It is maybe one of the
Pertinent
better neighborhoods to
information.
have shelter in. It's so accessible to services.
My name is Walter Troy. I live at 34 Kendrick Ave. I've been
There
here for
is
48 years.
easy access
I was at the
to
meeting
grocery
last
stores,
week,
to
and
food,
there
to
were a lot of people
restaurants.
there. I would estimate maybe 75 to 100 people. There were
Damn.
very, very
Walter
few
Bird
people
sounds
at that
terrible.
meeting who spoke up in favor of it. Most of the people that were there were opposed to it. And I resent the fact that there were people at that meeting and here tonight preaching to us what our values should be, because 99% of the people in Greendale are good people. This issue is about whether or not this is a good fit for our neighborhood. It's not. It should not be in the middle of a residential housing district.
Why?
You are a disgrace to
Sir.
mustaches.
Anyone else in the gallery? Standing over here by the doorway?
Good Lord.
Again, name and city residence.
Moonlight Graham over there needs to fucking chill.
Good evening, everyone. Jason Callahan. Grew up on Whitmarsh Ave. I currently live
Callahan.
2 streets over on Kelmar Street. You're asking for new information. I'll say this. What I have here, the folder is full of a lot of people in this room signing this petition. Not people on the other side of Worcester, not people from out of town, not the people pushing this who are from New Hampshire and Rhode Island. This is people directly affected by this. And we're not saying don't have a shelter. We're saying move it downtown. The reason why most of us have said this, shelters tend to attract people with untreated mental illness. I'm a concerned parent. There's a lot of concerned parents.
Apparently, Greendale
This is a
attracts
major
people with
issue.
untreated mental illness.
Untreated mental illness.
I would argue
If
that
it moves
many of the people
downtown,
at
it'll
that
be closer
meeting
to the services that these people need, not when they have to get off a bus.
Little look
where
in the
they have to
mirror.
pass a bar,
Talking about
where they
mental
have
health.
to pass 2 alcohol stores, 2 liquor stores. Moving it downtown, because I've asked a question on the Zoom. There was no requirement for these people to be clean. No requirement for these people to be
That's a dry
sober,
shelter, dude. What are
and
you
there
talking
certainly
about?
was no requirement for these people to have jobs.
Oh,
I've mentioned this, and the other thing is we talk about abuse of battered women. The shelter is not for battered women. This is open to men also, and they're
I'd
going
ask
to be
you to
around
talk to
these
my
people,
wife.
and it's a concern. So everyone's up in arms and saying this is a not in my backyard. That's true, but it's not in the sense that you think. This is a gentleman who commutes 3 hours every day from New Hampshire because
Oh,
he
it sounds
doesn't
like
want
you
it in
should
his
move to New
backyard.
Hampshire.
He wants it in the good people of Greendale's backyard. And if you follow this further, the goal of this board is to occupy more property. And I really feel that they're out here trying to undermine the values of our property so they can scoop them up at a reduced rate, cause the good people, a lot of elderly, a lot of retiree to leave.
Yeah.
So that they can buy their houses and expand this money grab.
Yeah,
So
hell yeah.
we're not for it. We have dozens of people. Excuse me, sir. I'm a veteran. I was in the Middle East. My daughter grew up without a father, so I could afford to live in this neighborhood.
want you to keep
I'm
people
afforded
calm. I'm also a
afforded the
veteran.
reason to speak on this against it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wave your finger. Okay.
Dude, this guy's bringing.
Thank
a
you.
gun.
Feel really bad for that guy. Clearly untreated mental health issues. That sucks.
Yeah, we're not going to have outbursts like that any longer. I'm actually
That's
going to
fucking
conclude open testimony
unhinged
now because there's been
shit.
nothing new down here.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing.
See, you ruined it, guys. Try to have a nice time
Is
here.
there a second on that motion? All right, we're going to go. We have a motion on the floor. So on the motion, Mr. Berg Powers?
Yes.
Mr. Delaria?
Yes.
Ms. Campanello?
Yes.
And my vote yes. The
What the
hearing's closed.
fuck?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chairman? Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Turcuna is present at the meeting as well.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Tacona, how would you vote on that?
Yes.
All right, this hearing is closed.
Through the chair, just to be clear, Mr. Torcona was absent for a portion, so he's not eligible for voting.
Okay, thank you.
Absent for a portion since when? Today or the last time?
The hearing is
going on here?
closed.
Yes, I had through all the hearing. I responded to the email, and the hearing I've been on since 6 o'clock.
It's
late,
it's
dude.
fair.
Started at 5:30.
We have to move forward. So is there a motion on the application?
Also, you voted yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for 39 and 41 White Marsh Avenue, 5 Lead Street and 47 Kings Phillips Road for a special permit to allow temporary shelter in an RG5 zoning district, to allow a professional office in an RG5 zoning district, Article 4, Section 2, and to allow recreational service facility, which I'm not sure is needed anymore, but just in case, and an RG5 zone for the
Somebody
waivers as
send
requested.
Jordan a
on
message. Great
page
job no selling that lady
3 of
yelling, "What the
7
fuck?"
Excuse me.
I don't know.
Of page, it's not 3 of 7, it's 3 of 6 of the staff memo, and for the recommendations that stated on 3 of 6 of the staff memo.
Is there
What
a
the
second?
fuck? That was pretty great.
That was Kathy Roy. I'm putting it out there. That was Kathy
His
Roy.
appointment is not expired. The website's not up to date. We're moving forward on the motion.
Jesus.
The hearing is closed.
I hope there's like a.
We've closed the hearing. This hearing is closed. We're not entertaining an outburst. We'll have you removed from the hall if you keep talking.
Hell yeah. White privilege.
It isn't rubber stamped. Is there a motion on the applicant?
Second, we need a second.
On the motion, Mr. Berg Powers,
Yes.
Mr. Delaria,
Yes.
Ms. Campanello.
Yes.
My vote's yes. And anyone who has a problem with this can appeal under Mass General Law, and we would appreciate you to go ahead and do that.
This
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Through the chair, if community members have concerns related to traffic incidents, we encourage them to transmit the data to planning@worcesterma.gov. The data that was included in the staff analysis was all the data reported to the Mass DOT crash database. That means those are reported incidents. So you would have to have reported that through the Worcester Police Department. Excuse me, Mr. Chair, just clarifying that would have to be
I can't hear you right
through
now.
the Worcester Police Department or
People
through the
yelling at me.
RMV, so the Registry of Motor Vehicles by the petitioner.
That's correct.
Bye, psychos.
All right. Let's get a tally here.
So,
on who was
Your
for, who was
application's
against.
approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much for your reasonable behavior.
Trying to be peaceful. I almost came across the table.
Oh yeah. We should make a t-shirt of this guy.
Yeah,
He's
I
wild.
almost came across the table. Who said that? The chair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is exceptional.
Wow. I'm glad we watched that.
So great. It was
a lot of
really had
fun.
it all. Love it. I love to hear it. We did it.
We did it. We
We've
did
done
it. The cranks lost.
Once more, the cranks have lost.
So, Bill, do you know, does if people start taking advantage of the appeals process that is there, how much could that actually slow down the project, or is that mostly like does somebody have to actually have a viable? like, you
I
have to
don't
show-
really know.
Through the chair, I motion for a 5-minute recess.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
okay. So we can call the cops.
Yeah, we're gonna have a recess for 5 minutes. Is there a second?
Second. So I can
All
go
in
to my
favor, say
trunk and get my
aye.
gun.
Aye.
So we'll be back in session at 7 p.m.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Head of the table. Acknowledge him.
We sticking through this?
You will stick around for a few minutes. Let's keep talking.
Yeah. I'm just totaling up the tally of who was for, who was against.
I
think the 4
desperately
people
want
won.
Yeah, I think so too. I really want to hear what the chair says when they come back.
Yeah, for sure.
That was wild. Yeah, I mean, this is like this is par for the course as far as if you have that type of attitude, then this is how you act. Like a little piss baby.
Yeah. Little piss babies. We love them.
Yeah, Jess was gonna call for as well. It's just like
I'm a veteran.
Like that's the time. I mean, this is, I don't know if we talked about this on the air, but I feel like now the responsible thing to do for Memorial Day is to just apologize to people that, like, if they're a veteran, like it's like, but like we say like thank you for your service, and I just don't think that captures. It's like, I'm sorry you went through that. Like, I think is a lot of times, the more helpful thing to say, because we need to. I think we need to acknowledge that like 50% of wars have been pretty bad in this country over the course of time.
Mostly not good, especially recently.
And it feels really shitty when like people go into a conflict or are joined up right before, say in like July of 2001, and then find themselves in a pretty bad situation, and then for the rest of their lives we have to just like pat them on the head and say like, hey, no big deal.
It's all right, buddy. Watch Starship
like,
Troopers.
I'm sorry we fucking did that to you.
All right. So I have the tally. 14 positive against 10 negative, totaling 24 speakers. So the positive won out. The negative speakers were drowned out by 4. Wasn't exactly a walloping victory, but a victory nonetheless. And the vote was unanimous to, give the proper legal citing or whatever to the shelter. So
yeah.
All in all, it was pretty good.
They followed the process, and if we don't like the process, then I guess you can lobby to change it. But
yeah, the appeal is interesting. I would guarantee that because that dumb lady used the term discovery process, that an appeal has already been sort of bandied about in this anti-shelter circle.
Sure.
So I actually don't know, Brendan, if that's like just a basic civil court procedure or if there's a specific avenue for zoning boards of appeals in the like appellate court or something like that. I don't know. So I'll have to talk to somebody who knows.
Yeah, I'm just curious if the project can start actually moving forward at least, without just
right,
being
or if an appeal would.
You'd have to sue to get an injunction, which would just be a general court thing. It wouldn't be an appellate court thing. You'd have to get a lawsuit through a court first.
Right.
Or
but
in front of a
the court process that he mentioned to appeal the zoning board's decision.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, he said under the mess. I wonder. Yeah, we should.
That's a municipal process for appeals that goes up through the state. But yes, that's also something. It could happen too, though, is if neighbors got together and wanted to file an injunction through a court proceeding, that would be another thing that could stall.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually think meetings like this, though, are some of the best way to get people to change their. I mean, I think it is easy. I'm not justifying it, but I think it's really easy if you live in a neighborhood, if you've been in a neighborhood your whole life, when something new comes about, your knee-jerk reaction is going to be, this is scary. This is weird, whatever. I can at least, I don't empathize with it. I get it.
No,
but
I think,
but that said, like when you see just how unhinged people act when they do, I think that's the best way to get people to break that mold is like, the next time one of these comes up, it's going to be like, oh, I don't want to be a part of that crowd. Like when they're your friends, when your pinochle buddies or whatever, like those are the unhinged people. It's easy to jump in, but like you see it from afar, like, oh, good Lord.
And I think that's part of the. I think that's part of the break that you kind of that break happens very quickly online now.
Yeah,
and that's what I've seen in the Facebook group specifically about this thing. Is how much now everyone that is for it is so much more motivated to be for it.
Yeah,
when they might have been passively for it before because it's like, oh, you're being ugly, and I don't want to be. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Like like my like my passivity about it is approval. So yeah, no.
And it is all at the end of the day utter nonsense. I mentioned it briefly, but I didn't want to step over the speakers in the room there. But went through this probably, I don't know, 15 years ago, if not longer. The project that Yenny was talking about right next to her on June Street. I mean, I remember getting someone asked me to come down to that meeting. That public meeting was at Doherty, and it was the auditorium was standing room only. Like all the seats were full,
right.
The hallways were full. So like an auditorium for a high school, jam packed. And the exact same arguments: fabric of the neighborhood, crime, property values. That's technically, I mean, that's Newton Square where that sits, right? So like, you're gonna have a really tough argument to try and make that Newton Square has depreciated in value since that eight family shelter has gone in, right? Like, I mean, they're really suffering over there now. It's just a bummer. But again, when you see it in real life and you see the people you grew up with like acting like utter unhinged lunatics, there's no better way to get people on the right team.
I'm like curious to text that guy's brother who's like kind of like part of planning in the city.
Oh yeah.
yeah. She's like, hey, what's your fucking brother's deal? But just unhinged shit. Yeah. It's all, it's just so so fucking crazy ugly, What's this we're looking at?
This is back to regular board business. They're like,
let's see what they say.
I want to put an in-law apartment. The zoning board is the least controversial board. Like,
that's the funniest thing. That was my favorite thing. Also, like when Cafe Neo is going through like their like their licensure process. Yeah, and it's just like the most no frills, no like attention paid board, and all of a sudden they have like 1,000 karaoke fans cheer like chiming in. Just wild, It's good times.
So sick.
We'll hear what they have to say, but I think it's at least the probably the like you said before, Brendan. I empathize with it as well. I do. It is hard to like. They're building houses behind my house, and at first it's like, oh, that fucking sucks. I didn't see anyone back there before, and now I see houses there, and like, it's like not the easiest thing to deal with that change. But I think there's there's a way to be against it that is understandable, and there's a way to be against it that is put it downtown where I don't have to see it, where it belongs.
Totally.
The fact that people were just totally felt comfortable coming out and saying that sort of shit is like insane.
Yes.
They live in a world where there's just no cross-examination of that impulse, and that's like literally just racism. It's like
Brian, here's like another one that's kind of regional, but I think actually you would probably, I'm going to guess you might disagree with me, but I think it actually speaks to what we're both getting at. Like when we had to cut down all the trees in Burncoat because of the Asian longhorn beetle. I mean, I know the neighborhood was devastated, and rightfully so. All the shade trees were gone. From the perspective of somebody who didn't grow up spending a lot of time in Burncoat, your neighborhood looked 5 million times better. Because, and I'm not knocking anything. It's because old construction housing suddenly looked like new construction. Like you don't have giant oak trees like covering the facades of houses in new construction and whatnot. And I actually think there's an argument to be made that your property values went up specifically
I think they did.
at that time because it was more attractive to outside buyers. That not only did you have highway access, but in a city where the newest construction we have is like 1983. Suddenly old 150-year-old colonials looked brand new, and it's
there's another level to that too, in that like that whole issue there's plenty of people that were like, oh, it's like are like devastated by the idea that it would change, and we're really pissed off about it. But the issue there was not something that you could just decide whether or not you could make an aesthetic choice on it.
Sure,
the trees had to fucking come down. Like, like it's just it is
back to order.
Like, it is what it is, and that's kind of the same thing. It's like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you like feel like you don't want to deal with this in your neighborhood.
Next on the agenda is 129 Eastern Ave. Can the applicant come to the podium?
You got to fucking deal with it. Like we don't have a choice,
right?
Or we have them online.
So the best you can do is the
All right,
best
thank you.
thing that you can do
Yes, Mr.
in
Chair.
those circumstances. And
The
it sounds
applicant's
like
engineer is
the zoning
online.
board
Okay, go ahead.
made a good faith effort to
even
do
like after we bought the house, the tree across the street they cut
you,
down,
Bob.
and yeah, it's a bummer. Like it was a bummer. Like, oh, that I used to love looking at that tree, but it had to come down, and now I've come to like really appreciate the view and like all the light in my yard and how much better the garden grows.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just gotta grow the fuck up sometimes and like deal with something hard instead of screaming at it thinking you can make it go away.
Yeah. Being a customer about it. Just thinking you have like ultimate entitlement because you own property.
Mm. Right.
Yeah. I'm a customer. These people moving in here, they ain't customers like I'm a customer.
And
all right.
how the the goalposts can move, like literally the boundary of like who is allowed to say something like changes every time somebody speaks up for it. Like, well, I live 2 streets away. It's like, well, I live 1 street away.
Yeah,
well,
right.
I live
right.
1 street away too. Well, I live across the street, so only I'm allowed to say.
Yeah. Yeah, big uncle energy.
Big, yes.
And lady uncles, yeah.
Lady uncles.
Yeah, I was sort of bummed, but they didn't see like there were no snarky remarks coming back in after this recess. They just got back to the boring business of being a ZBA.
He said hopefully it'd be a little calmer, but that's
okay. All right, so we had one little mildly snarky remark.
And I'm listening to it. It is dry as shit.
Oh yeah, dude, ZBA board meetings are terrible. It's just the worst thing.
We're doing this again tomorrow night.
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to leave.
Yeah,
leave it for today. I think we did it. I think this was a really fun meeting to watch and very illuminating of some cultural sort of I don't know, groups in Worcester. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know really
the
what to say
voices that
about
are
it.
out there and the voices that think they have a say or sway, and what they're saying when they do that, and who they don't mind saying it in front of.
Right.
It's important to know that, and it's important to get eyes on Jenny's 1 of 2 challengers at this point.
Yeah, Larry Shetler is one of those people.
See that he is the weirdest guy I've ever seen in my life. And
yeah, and he made the case
that
Greendale's going to get redlined because of this.
Is he is he a private eye? Somebody said he was a private eye. Is that?
Dude, that's so cool if he is.
Yeah. If he is, I might vote for him.
I can't wait to see the Oppo research he gets on Jenny via being a private eye. He's just like
via talking to me.
yeah. Hey, Larry Shetler, talk to me. I got it all.
I got it all. So yeah, that was an illuminating time. It was fun to hear Rick Zipper lose his fucking mind for 2 seconds.
Oh yeah,
totally unhinged. But yeah, we'll be back here tomorrow night. Anything major on the agenda that you guys know about?
It's still budget stuff.
Yeah.
It's mostly there is a council meeting after the budget stuff, but I think the budget stuff's going to bleed over into the council meeting. That's usually the way it goes.
Fun. So we'll make a show out of it. We always do. No, that rules. Somebody flipped their car. Hell yeah. They must have been driving so cool. So we will be back here tomorrow night. Let's just do a short round of plugs. Make sure that we are following, subscribing to billshaner.substack.com. You gotta get on there.
New post coming out tomorrow morning.
Hell yeah. You can follow us here. I can't find the slide for our thing, but you can follow us at WCT3000. There it is on Instagram. I think honestly, this is one of those times where I feel like this account helped us spread the word about this a little bit, and I'm proud of
for
that.
sure.
So did Worcester Sucks. So make sure you're following our social medias. Make sure you're following Attell also on social media, who got a lot of good info out about this last night as well. BillShaner.substack.com for the Power Hour, Worcester Sucks Power Hour as well. I'm sure we'll be recording one of those sometime this week. So come check that out. WCT3K.StoreEnvy.com. Get all your cool shirts. If you want to dress like Johanna Hampton Dance, get the black Worcester Council Theater 3000 shirt. That's what she was wearing at her at her event the other day, but also get the Nico shirt probably. I told some of her friends were there helping her, like volunteering with her, and she was like, Johanna was like, they have a shirt about Nico, and they all went, what? And I think we maybe have sold some based on that.
That's sick.
We have Woot Nanny, follow Woot Nanny on Instagram, Woot Nanny Comedy on Instagram. We have our next show coming up is June 30th rather. That's the wrong date on there. I gotta change that. It says June 10th. It's June 30th. Kate Willette, an incredible comedian and writer, is coming to Ralph's on June 30th. Caroline Moore, a local comic, is going to be in there supporting her, opening up the show. So come see that. This weekend is a crazy event.
I'm gonna be there all day.
Top Dog Titan hot dog eating contest to support the Worcester Hot Dog Safari and the Worcester County Food Bank at 1 p.m. That's a free event. You come down and just buy some shirts, buy some stuff, buy some raffle tickets. 3 p.m. Hot Dog and a Handshake. Beyond Wrestling presents an outdoor show in the parking lot at Ralph's. It's going to be an incredible event. If anybody was at the Christmas party, the Hot Dog Safari Christmas party, Santa Casanova Valentine is going to be back for the show. He's going to be wrestling. We fucking love him so much.
He's so sick. Yeah.
And he's wrestling a guy named Hot Dog Stark, and he wrestles in a hot dog costume. It's gonna be a wild day, and then sick show that night. That show upstairs is gonna be awesome. Zorn's coming up from Philly, so it's gonna be a hell of a day. There's a story in the Worcester magazine they just published today. They interviewed me for it, and I said some unhinged things about eating contests. So, and they printed them, and then halfway through they switched my last name to O'Connell, and just carried that through for the rest of the but thank you, Victor Infante. Big shout out to him for coverage. I hit him up, and he was so down to do a story about it, and Meg for writing that story as well. So I appreciate them covering this. Is hopefully going to be a huge event. We sold 100 tickets. They've sold 100 tickets for the wrestling show already, so get yours now. And yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow night. Thank you all for joining us. Thanks for tuning in. We love you guys. We love Nico, and we'll see you next time.
Have a great night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.